Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure. There'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
It was a bright spring morning in Greendale, and Postman Pat had stopped at the post office to collect the mail.
Off we go, Jess.
Soon he was on his way. When he arrived at Greendale Farm, young Tom Pottage was crying. "What's all this?" said Pat. "Tears on a Tuesday? That won't do. Let's see if there's a sweet in my pocket." There was, as there always is. "There, that's better," said Pat, as he gave Tom a shiny toffee, and Tom tried to smile again. "It's this reading book," said Mrs. Pottage. "He's off school with a cold, and Katie's brought his reading book home. But he can't seem to learn his letters at all." "I had an ABC when I was little," said Pat. "That helped. I'll tell you what, young Tom, we'll make an ABC." "How can we do that, Pat?" said Tom, smiling. "I'll get a notebook at the post office, and we'll put a new letter in each day. You'll soon learn then." "Oh, yes," said Tom. "And you can do the pictures," said Pat. "Bye." "I like drawing," said Tom. The next day, Pat brought a red notebook. He also brought a small tin. "Now, Tom," he said, "have a look in here." He opened the tin. A tiny creature ran about in it. "A little ant," said Tom. On the first page of the notebook, Pat wrote, "A is for ant." When Katie came home, she brought her book of sums. She wrote in Tom's new book, A is for add. Mother looked in the larder. She put some fruit on the table. She wrote, A is for apple and apricot. The next day, Pat looked at all the drawings in the book. "What about B?" said Pat. Just then, Miss Hubbard arrived on her bike. "B is for bike," shouted Tom. So Pat wrote, B is for Miss Hubbard's bike. Miss Hubbard drew her bike for Tom. Tom was helping to clear the breakfast things. B is for butter, he said. His mother drew the butter in its dish and wrote, B is the yellow butter in the dish. Bye, said Pat. I'd better be buzzing along. At tea time, Katie drew another picture and wrote a big bad bee. The next day, Tom had gone back to school. Pat made a drawing on the next page and wrote, C is for my cat, Jess, with his curly tail. He likes cream and cake and cod. Each day, someone added a new page to Tom's book. When Tom came home from school, the first thing he did was to look at the new page in Postman Pat's ABC. Alf Thompson called. He drew his dog and wrote, D is my dreamy dog. Later, Katy drew a dish for the dog's drink. Then Dad came in and drew the donkey in the top field. Donkey. The next day, Tom had an egg for his breakfast. Egg. On Saturday, Tom saw a frog in the pond. Tom drew it when they went home. Frog. Sam Waldron came with his mobile shop. Mrs. Pottage bought fish fingers, a flan, and some kitchen foil. Tom asked Peter Fogg for something beginning with G. He looked around the yard and drew a goose.
I don't like the way it hisses at me,
said Katy.
And I don't like Dad's gun.
Gun.
It makes such a bang.
On Sunday, they all went to church. They saw Granny Dryden. She dropped her glove. She gave Tom a gumdrop when he picked up her glove. At Sunday school, Katy drew Miss Hubbard's hat. And Tom drew a hen that had walked into the churchyard. On Monday, Katy and Tom had ice cream for tea. Pat had a puncture and had to jack up his van. So he drew his jack in the book. Jack. On Tuesday, there was jam and jelly for tea. And Peter Fogg said, "Just the job!" On Wednesday, they had kippers for tea. Good morning. "I've just boiled the kettle," said Mrs. Pottage, when Pat called next morning. So Pat stayed for a cup of tea. He drew the kettle in Tom's book. Kettle. "Tom's getting on really well with his letters now," said Mrs. Pottage. "He knows all the words in his ABC so far." On Friday, Katie said she had seen a lark on the way to school. So she drew that. Lark. One of Mrs. Thompson's hens stole Pat's keys, and he had to climb a tree with her ladder to get them back. He drew the ladder. "It was so high," said Pat. "I was really scared." On Saturday, Mrs. Pottage bought a big melon at the market. Katie and Tom played in the barn. Katie saw a mouse. Tom drew it in his ABC. "I once had a pet mouse," said Pat, "just like the one in your picture." Sam Waldron called again with his mobile shop. And Tom bought some nutty nougat with his pocket money and gave a piece to Katie. On Sunday, it was time for church again. Miss Hubbard played the organ. And the Reverend Timms gave each child an orange. Katie and Tom had pie and peas and potatoes and pancakes for their dinner. Then played cards. Tom drew the Queen. It rained on Monday. At playtime, all the children saw a beautiful rainbow in the sky. Tom had taken his ABC to school to show his teacher. So he painted the rainbow in it, using all the paints in the box. They had sausages and sweet corn for school dinner. And Lucy Selby drew them for Tom in his ABC. On Tuesday, Pat's van was stuck in the mud. Peter Fogg brought the tractor to tow Pat out. "T for tractor," said Tom. "And T for Tom," said Pat. Then drew both in the ABC and wrote Tom and the Tractor towing Pat's van.
Off we go, Jess.
On Wednesday, the wind blew the Reverend Tim's umbrella inside out. Pat helped him to put it right again and drew it in Tom's book. Umbrella. There was a bring and buy sale on Thursday in the village hall. Granny Dryden bought a vase and drew it for Tom. Vase.
"It's just the thing for my violets," she said, "and it looks very valuable."
Ted Glenn bought a watch. "It has a wobbly winder," he said. "I'll soon mend that." "Can you draw it?" said Pat. "Willingly," said Ted. So he did, and wrote underneath, "A watch with a wobbly winder." On Friday, Tom played music on a xylophone at school. "I can play it or draw it," said Tom, "but I can't spell it." So his teacher helped him. Xylophone. On Saturday, they all went to the seaside for a treat. They went to see the lions and the tigers in the zoo. "Y is for yellow on the giraffe's neck," said Katie. Yellow. "Now I know how to end my ABC," said Tom, looking at the notices when they went in. "And I can spell it myself. Zoo." Cheerio. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the
birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
It was a bright new day, and Postman Pat was calling at Greendale Farm. Good morning. I can't, was the first thing he heard. It was young Tom's voice, and it sounded rather cross. What's all this? Said Pat. What is it that Tom can't do? Oh, hello, Pat, said Mrs. Pottage. It's this counting business. We've managed our ABC, now it's our 1 to 10 that's the bother. Tom's teacher says he must know all his numbers up to 10 before Easter. Quite right, too, I say. How will he ever be a farmer if he can't count? I see what you mean, said Pat. I'd be sunk if I couldn't count. How would I ever find the house numbers down in the village? Now, let's see. How can we help young Tom? I know, said Katie. We can make another book. We'll make the pictures, and you can put the words in for us, Pat. What a good idea, said Pat. I'll bring a new book on Monday. Cheerio. Pat didn't forget. He brought a new blue notebook first thing on Monday morning. He wrote in big words on the cover with his felt pen, 1 to 10 with Postman Pat. At the top of the first page, Pat wrote 1. Then he drew one letter next to it and wrote, Postman Pat has one beautiful cat, Jess, one lovely long nose, one postman's hat, which he once dropped down Peter Fogg's well, 1. This is this, and that is that. It's number 1 with Postman Pat. This is this, and that is that. It's number 1 with Postman Pat. He left a space after each sentence, and Katie and Tom drew the pictures. Hurrah, said Tom. Well, I must be on my way, said Pat. He gave Katie and Tom a sweet each before he went. Cheerio. On Tuesday, Pat called again and wrote in the blue notebook, 2. He drew 2 letters and wrote, Postman Pat has 2 sharp eyes for reading addresses. 2 big feet that once fell over Jess. 2 friends called Katie and Tom. 2. This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2 with Postman Pat. Two. This is this and that is that. It's 1, 2 with Postman Pat. Wednesday was a little harder. It was time for 3. Now, what did I see yesterday? Said Pat. I know. I saw 3 naughty hens who tried to steal my sandwiches. 3 of Alf's sheep climbing over the wall. 3 men going up a hill. 3. This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3 with Postman Pat. Three. 1. 2. This is this and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3 with Postman Pat. On Thursday, it was raining. So Pat wrote 4. 4 umbrellas in the post office. 4 wet wheels on Pat's van. 4 parcels for Pat to deliver. 4. This is this and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 and Postman Pat. 4. 1. 2. 3. This is this and that is that.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and Postman Pat.
It was sunny again on Friday. Pat wrote in the book 5. Now, what goes in 5, said Pat. I know. 5 fingers on Tom's hand, if you count the thumb. 5 ducks swimming on the pond. 5 buttons on Katie's dress. 5. This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Postman Pat. Five. 1. 2. 3. 4.
This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Postman Pat.
We're halfway to 10, said Mrs. Pottage. Hurrah, said Tom. Cheerio, said Pat. Good morning. On Saturday, Greendale Football Club was playing Kendal. I hope our side wins, said Tom. So Pat wrote in the blue notebook 6. 6 goals for Greendale. 6 buses for supporters all lined up at the ground. 6 silver cups in the clubhouse. 6. This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with Postman Pat. Six. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5.
This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with Postman Pat.
6 cheers for Greendale, said Tom. And another 6 for Tom for learning his numbers, said Pat.
Off we go, Jess.
The next day was Sunday. They saw Pat in church. Tom had brought his numbers book with him to show the Reverend Timms. After the service, Pat said, "Perhaps the Reverend would like to put something in Tom's book today." "Oh, Lord love us! What shall I put?" He gazed round the church, then wrote 7. 7 candles in the church. 7 bells in the tower. 7 bats in the belfry. 7. We'll say a prayer and sing some hymns. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the Reverend Timms. Seven. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. We'll say a prayer and sing some hymns. Then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the Reverend Timms. A new week came round with Monday morning, and so did Postman Pat with a new load of letters. "We've nearly finished this book," said Pat, and wrote 8. 8 legs on 2 cows. 8 cakes in the cake tin. 8 clocks in Granny Dryden's kitchen. 8. This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with Postman Pat. Eight. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. This is this and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with Postman Pat. "There are 7 cakes now," said Katie, "because I've eaten one." Pat was late on Tuesday, but he saw Tom at school. His teacher was ever so pleased with him. Come along, Jess. Good morning. Do you know, Pat, he said, Tom knows all his numbers up to 8 now. He's brought his numbers book to show me, and I think it's great. We mustn't miss today's number, said Pat. May I use your board? Certainly, said the teacher. So Pat wrote on the board 9. 9 children in the school. 9 pens on the teacher's desk. 9 pictures on the wall. 9. This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with Postman Pat. Nine. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. This is this and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with Postman Pat. Tom copied all this into his book and made pictures to go with it. The other children copied it in their news books. It was very windy on Wednesday. Pat was almost blown away. He put in the book 10. 10 trees blown down today. 10 bottles of homemade wine in Miss Hubbard's pantry. 10 saws in Ted Glenn's workshop. 10. This is this, and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with Postman Pat. 10. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5.
6.
7.
8.
9.
This is this and that is that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with Postman Pat.
There, it's finished, said Pat.
Aren't there any more numbers? Asked Tom.
Well, there are, said Pat, but that'll be enough to be going on with.
Good, said Tom. I like numbers now.
Thanks for helping, said Mrs. Pottage. You're welcome. Hey, I'd better be on my way now. Cheerio, then.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
Tempo Preschool Video offers the perfect entertainment for the under fives. There's tales with unexpected twists and lots of fun in Not Now Bernard and Other Stories by David McKee. And I Want a Cat and Other Stories by Tony Ross includes the best-selling toddler classic I Want My Potty and Super Duper Jezebel. There's lots of fun for all the family. Sing along to all your favorite rhymes with Tempo's very own golden treasury of nursery rhymes. There's lots of favorite friends in the 6 stories featured on the Mr. Men and Little Miss video. Meet the Junglies and join Tyrone Tiger on his first day at school. Don't miss the world's most lovable puppy and his friends in Spot's first video and The Adventures of Spot. And learning can also be fun with Spot's alphabet and Spot Learns to Count, introducing basic educational concepts that any child can enjoy. Young Tom Pottage has difficulty coming to terms with his alphabet and counting, but Postman Pat is always ready to lend a hand. A timeless favorite with all children are the Paddington Bear stories, written by Michael Bond and narrated by Sir Michael Horton. Bump the Baby Elephant features in these gentle stories, delightfully narrated by Simon Cadell. And perfect for pre-bedtime viewing are the Tempo range of classic tales. The tales of Aesop are brought to life with delightful puppet animation and humorously narrated by Tom Baker. And Tell Me a Story includes well-loved stories told by Jan Francis. There's something for everyone with Tempo Video.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white.
Postman Pat was finishing his rounds. His last call was to the Reverend Timms. Hello, Pat. Oh, good. My parcel has arrived. Thank you. You do look tired today. Time to go home and put your feet up. Yes, you're right. I am tired. But not as tired as the time I couldn't sleep for a whole week. Not long ago, in the middle of the night, I was tossing and turning in bed. I can't sleep, I said.
Make a cup of tea, said Sarah.
So I did. I still couldn't sleep. The next day was Monday. I had some letters for Mrs. Pottage.
Have a cup of tea, said Mrs. Pottage.
Thanks, I said. I fell asleep in the chair. Suddenly a dog barked. Oh, whew. It woke me up. It was Peter Fogg's dog. Oh dear, I said. Did I fall asleep? The trouble is, I'm very tired. I can't sleep at night. I count sheep, said Peter. Then I sleep like a log. That night, I counted 500 sheep. 491, 492, 493, 494, 495, 496, 497, 498, 499. But I was still awake. The next day was Tuesday. I had some letters for Miss Hubbard.
You look sleepy, she said.
I am, I said. I can't sleep at night.
I know what you need, said Miss Hubbard. Have a glass of my best rhubarb wine at bedtime.
She gave me a bottle. Thanks, I said. The wine made my tummy rumble. The noise woke me up, and Sarah too. On Wednesday, I had some letters for Granny Dryden. I was so sleepy, I had to stop for a snooze.
You were late,
said Granny Dryden.
Just look at the time.
Sorry, I said. I had to stop for a snooze. I can't sleep at night.
Put a bag of lavender under your pillow,
said Granny Dryden.
It always works.
The lavender had a lovely smell. I put the lavender under my pillow. I went to sleep. The lavender made me sneeze. That woke me up again. The next day was Thursday. There was choir practice at the church. I was singing in the back row. But I fell asleep. someone poked me, and I woke up.
Oh,
You were asleep, Pat, said Dr. Gilbertson.
Sorry, I said. I can't sleep at night.
Have a hot bath before you go to bed, said the doctor.
So I had a hot bath. I went to sleep. Then I had a strange dream. I dreamt I was falling. Ooh. Help! I shouted. That woke Sarah. And Julian. And Jess.
man didn't know what to say.
On Friday, I read Julian a bedtime story.
I shouldn't really be here. You're not supposed to see me. I'm invisible. Or
He
should
went to
be.
sleep.
You see,
That's what you need, said Sarah.
What? I said.
A bedtime story.
Said Barnaby. Mabel pushed
At
the
bedtime,
basket on.
Sarah read me a story.
I saw you in the shop. The waiter looked up. The shop, said Barnaby.
I went to sleep. And I didn't wake up at all. On Saturday, I felt much better. That story was good, I said. But how did it end? What a tiring week, Pat. Yes, but I'm back to normal now. It was a tiring week, wasn't it? Can you remember what I did each night to help me get to sleep? On Sunday, Sarah said,
Make a cup of tea.
I still couldn't sleep. On Monday, Peter said, "I count sheep." I counted 500 sheep.
492, 493, 494, 495, 496.
I was still awake.
497, 400.
On Tuesday, Miss Hubbard said,
I know what you need. Have a glass of my best rhubarb wine at bedtime.
It made my tummy rumble and woke me up. On Wednesday, Granny Dryden said,
Put a bag of lavender under your pillow.
I put the lavender under my pillow and went to sleep. The lavender made me sneeze and woke me up again. On Thursday, there was choir practice at the church. Oh, Dr. Gilbertson said,
Have a hot bath before you go to bed.
I had a hot bath. Then I went to bed. I dreamt I was in a bubble. The bubble burst. And I woke up.
and didn't know what to say. Neither did Lucy.
Then on Friday,
They just looked at each other.
I
shouldn't
read
really be
Julian
here.
a bedtime story.
You're not supposed to see me. I'm invisible, or should be. You see, I've lost my mind.
That's what you need, said Sarah. A bedtime story.
Said Barnaby.
At
Maybe.
bedtime, Sarah read me a story.
I saw you in the shop. The waiter looked up. The shop.
Before
Said
she had
Barnaby.
finished it, I fell fast asleep and didn't wake up until morning. On Saturday, I was my old self again. Once I'd had a good sleep, I was ready to start on my rounds again. Pat. Cat. Van. Sheep. Dog. Bag. Letter. Cup. Can you help me to read these words? Pat, that's me. Cup. Letter. Bag. Sheep. Dog. Cat. Van. How did you get on? Morning, Peter.
Morning, Pat.
He can run fast, that dog of yours.
Yes, he's a good sheepdog. He's chasing rabbits again, I should think.
I wish I could run that fast. So do I. That reminds me of the time that 3 of my wishes nearly came true. Oh, what's that? One day, when I was on my rounds, I saw a bird up in the sky. I wish I could fly, I said. Then I saw Katie and Tom. Katie was on her swing.
Would you like a turn? Said Tom.
Thanks, I said. Off I went. Up in the sky. I'm flying, I said.
Like a bird, said Tom.
Nearly, I said. Time to be on our way, Jess, I said. Then I saw a squirrel. It ran up a tree. I wish I could climb a tree like that, I said. Then I saw Lucy. She was crying. What's wrong? I said.
My kite, said Lucy. It's stuck in that tree.
I'll get it down, I said. I climbed the tree. It took a long time. I nearly fell.
Look out, said Lucy.
Ow, I said. It was a very prickly tree. Ouch! I said. But I got Lucy's kite. Down I came. Time to be on our way, Jess, I said. What a hot day, I said to Jess. I stopped by the lake. I watched the fish in the water. I wish I could swim like that, I said. Then I saw Ted out for a swim. Are you coming in? Said Ted. It's nice and cool. But I haven't got any trunks, I said. I'll lend you some, said Ted. I went in the water. Jess stayed on dry land. Come on, said Ted. It's easy. I splashed about. Help, I said. Ted pulled me out. You'll have to learn, said Ted. Then you'll swim like a fish. I'm not sure, I said. But I'm nice and cool. Time to be on our way, Jess, I said. Isn't that strange? In a way, your wishes came true. Let's see, what were your 3 wishes again? First, I saw a bird. Bird. I wish I could fly, I said. Then I saw a squirrel climbing a tree. Squirrel. Tree. I wish I could climb a tree like that, I said. Later, I saw a fish in the water. Fish! Water. I wish I could swim like that, I said. Then you wished you could run as fast as my dog. Yes, I did, but I don't know how that could happen, do you? Time to be on my way. It's time to go home. Cheerio.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man.